Look at him, Zohran Mamdani, the youngest mayor New York City has seen in over a century, a Democratic Socialist rising to power in the global capital of finance, promising to tear down the very economic system his family represents. His parents are cinematic royalty, filmmaker Mira Nair and academic elite, Columbia professor Mahmoud Mamdani. Mamdani was born into the highest echelons of global privilege, yet he lives in a rent-stabilized apartment in Queens and commutes by subway. This is the central paradox, the ultimate insider fighting for the outsiders. His opponents called him a Nepo baby and a hypocrite, but his supporters see a leader who chose solidarity over self-interest. Tonight, we trace his path from Oscar Galas to community organizing, and we reveal his audacious multi-billion-dollar plan to fundamentally rewire the city. The question is simple: can this class traitor turn socialist fantasy into reality? The family fortune. To understand Zohran Mamdani, you first have to understand the world he was born into. It is a world of intellectual and artistic royalty, where privilege is not an attack line, it's a simple fact. His mother is Mira Nair, a name synonymous with vibrant, evocative global cinema. Her first feature, Salam Bombay, was nominated for an Academy Award. Her blockbuster hit, Monsoon Wedding, grossed over $30 million worldwide and won the prestigious Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival. A career like hers generates serious wealth, establishing her as a global icon with an estimated net worth well into the tens of millions. This wealth isn't abstract. For years, the family owned a chic loft in Manhattan. More famously, they own a luxurious 5-bedroom villa in Uganda overlooking Lake Victoria, complete with a pool and staff, a world away from the daily grind of the average New Yorker. His father is Mahmoud Mamdani, an intellectual giant in post-colonial studies and a professor at Columbia University. His life, marked by political shifts in Uganda, defined his groundbreaking work, making him one of the top public intellectuals in the world. A senior professorship at an Ivy League school, like Columbia, commands a salary often between $200,000 and $300,000 annually. Zohran, born in Kampala, grew up in New York, attending elite private schools, steeped in a level of cultural capital few can imagine. This background was the primary weapon against him. Critics argued, how can a man from this rarefied atmosphere claim to represent the working class? They painted him as a rich kid, simply playing a role, but the answer lies in the path he chose for himself. A path that began not in a boardroom, but on the front lines of the city's housing crisis. The modest life and political ascent. After graduating from Bowdoin College, Mamdani's adult life took a decisive and intentional turn away from his family's affluence. He didn't leverage his connections for Wall Street. Instead, he took a job as a foreclosure prevention counselor in Astoria, Queens. His salary? A modest $47,000 a year. He spent his days fighting banks, keeping a roof over the heads of working families. It was in those trenches, he says, that his political consciousness was truly forged. This commitment led him to his own rent-stabilized 1-bedroom apartment in Astoria, the kind of affordable, stable home he was fighting to protect for others. This is a crucial point. Mamdani is not a millionaire. According to public disclosures, his personal net worth is estimated at a relatively modest $200,000. His largest declared asset is 4 acres of unimproved land in Uganda, a gift from an uncle, valued up to $250,000. He doesn't own a car and relies on the subway. He then became a key organizer for New York City's crushed taxi drivers, leading massive protests and hunger strikes against predatory medallion debt. This grassroots fight culminated in a historic multi-million-dollar debt relief victory for thousands of drivers. In 2020, he parlayed that organizing power into a successful campaign for the New York State Assembly, defeating a 5-term incumbent. Running as a proud Democratic Socialist, he won by mobilizing a grassroots working-class coalition. His platform was simple. The city's #1 issue is the crushing cost of living, and the government has a duty to fix it. His victory for mayor was not an accident. It was the peak of a movement that correctly identified the city's deepest pain points. Now, as the youngest mayor in generations, he has a mandate for change. But how does he actually plan to execute it? The audacious agenda. Mamdani's plan is not about incremental tweaks. It is a blueprint for radical redistribution, a full frontal assault on the economic forces that have made New York unaffordable. His entire vision is centered on a single truth. A great city is built by its working people, and they deserve to be able to afford to live here. His agenda is built on 4 central pillars, all funded by a massive tax increase on the wealthy, setting up a confrontation with Wall Street from day one. Pillar 1, housing as a human right. First, affordability starts with housing. Over half of all renters in New York are rent-burdened. Mamdani's day. One promise is a total rent freeze for the city's 1 million rent-stabilized apartments. He will achieve this by appointing a new rent guidelines board with a clear mandate to hold rents steady. Beyond the freeze, his long-term plan is arguably the boldest, investing an estimated $100 billion over a decade to build 200,000 new units of permanently affordable, publicly owned housing, insulating a huge portion of the housing market from private speculation and effectively challenging the power of the real estate lobby. Pillar 2, universal care and public goods. Next, he targets the 2 greatest non-rent expenses for families, transit and childcare. He has pledged to make all city buses fare-free. The estimated $700 million cost, he argues, will be offset by the over $1 billion in economic benefits generated by giving New Yorkers back time and money. He is also committed to implementing universal public child care, free for every child from 6 weeks to 5 years old, directly addressing a cost that often exceeds $20,000 per child annually and is a major barrier to workforce participation. Pillar 3, fighting halalflation with public power. Mamdani is also taking on the cost of food. He coined the term halalflation to describe the spiking grocery prices hitting immigrant communities hardest. His most novel idea is to open a network of city-owned grocery stores in underserved food deserts. Since these stores wouldn't be profit-driven and wouldn't pay property taxes, they could sell essential groceries at significantly lower prices, using the government's power to check inflation and hold private supermarkets accountable. Pillar 4, the funding mechanism, the battle line. All of this must be paid for, and that is where the plan gets its teeth, setting the stage for a dramatic political battle. Mamdani intends to fund his agenda by generating an estimated $10 billion in new annual revenue. This revenue will come primarily from a corporate tax increase, up to 11.5% on profits, and a 2% tax increase on New Yorkers earning over $1 million annually. This massive policy of redistribution also includes raising the city's minimum wage to $30 an hour by 2030. The very idea of New York, America's financial engine, taxing its top earners at this level has already triggered threats of wealthy flight, but Mamdani is betting on the necessity of his programs outweighing that risk. The path is fraught with obstacles. Many of his proposals require approval from a sometimes reluctant governor and state legislature. Recognizing this political reality, Mamdani has already signaled a pragmatic approach, appointing seasoned budget veteran Dean Fulihan as his first deputy mayor, balancing his radical imagination with the need for institutional fluency. The next 4 years will be a high-stakes experiment to see if America's largest city can simultaneously be a laboratory for socialist reform and the engine of global capitalism. Zohran Mamdani is not the millionaire his critics hoped for, but a public servant with the audacity to leverage his privileged education to fight the very class that afforded it. New York City is now the laboratory for this socialist experiment. The world will be watching to see if a great city can be made affordable again. What do you think? Can Zohran Mamdani deliver on his promises? Hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth political analysis.